my body is a mess. I've got multiple chronic injuries, I've developed some lower back problems, and at least twice in the past year I've twinged my back so badly I could barely walk for a few days. But why? I mean, I exercise every day, I eat quite well, except for the amount of chocolate I consume, and I've been doing yoga irregularly for the past 4 years. I'm 28 years old, and I should be the fittest I'll ever be, yet some days I can barely function. Why? That's what I wanted to figure out. So, I created another highly unscientific experiment. Step 1, I read a lot about how the human body should move and what it needs to thrive, and found 3 toxic behaviors that were making my body fragile. And you're also probably doing them. Step 2, I created a list of habits and practices that might fix these behaviors, and made a commitment to try those habits for 100 days. Step 3, I tested my current level of mobility, which we know isn't that good. But I wanted to see whether my mobility would improve during these 100 days. And let's just say that the results surprised me.
Day 1.
Look at all these chairs. Seating. You might have heard that sitting is the new smoking, which might be a bit of an exaggeration, but have you ever actually tracked your daily sitting hours? Because you might be surprised. So every time I sit, I'm going to start this tracker. Every time I stand, I'm going to stop the tracker. You're probably sitting while eating breakfast, while driving, or while commuting to work, while working, while eating lunch, while driving or commuting from work, while eating dinner, and while watching TV. And for me, all of that totaled to a nice sum of 7 hours, 32 minutes. That's a lot. That's a lot of sitting. 7 hours of sitting per day seems to be at the limit of being detrimental to your health. And from there, the health risks increase gradually from 7.5 hours to 9 hours of sitting and get worse rapidly above 9.5 hours of sitting. For instance, Kelly Starrett, a very well-known and respected movement expert, suggests that you sit less than 6 hours per day in his book, Built to Move. And that's what I wanted to aim for. Hey man, sorry I'm not in frame, I'm just setting up this camera here. Yeah, nice to see you too. I've been a fan of your content for quite a while. Or, well, I remember watching some of your flows, I don't know, 3 years ago maybe, for the first time. Yeah. This is Josh. He's kind of like me, except he's fitter, more mobile, and whereas I can barely do a cartwheel, he can do stuff like this. He and his brother also have a massively popular YouTube channel with over 1.7 million subscribers where they teach movement, so I figured he would be the perfect person to call. Do you have any tips or tricks that maybe you use in your life?
Probably the biggest tip that I use is actually what I'm doing right now is I'm sitting on the ground, right? So I just have a little cushion here and I'm sitting cross-legged.
I think my first approach is to just put this right here and I don't know, just read right here, and then this coffee table. Do you use any like equipment to sit on the floor more or stand more or move more?
Floor pillows, I think more is better for these. I just try to have one in like every single room so I can make that choice to sit on the ground.
Pillows. We need pillows. Maybe a few of these. How about this one? Foam roller, crossball. I guess this is a good start.
And this is just so much healthier for your body, right? You're not doing that passive turning off your body. Like if I'm sitting on the ground, my core is still active. I'm gonna be like just more prone to like sitting upright, being in an aligned posture.
Did you have like sitting desks or something like that?
It's basically just like a platform where you can set your computer on and sit down on the floor.
2 stools and then a piece of trash plywood, and ta-da! Oh, it has some spiders on it. Put a few pillows, computer, tea, and like that.
And then mixing in some standing as well, like if you are doing some work at the computer, mixing positions as much as you can, because I think it's actually more of the cause of our discomforts is like being in one position for too long.
First of all, I read that having something under your feet can make standing a bit easier. Oh, that's actually pretty nice. I wonder if my carabiner is enough for this one. Oh, it's perfect. So there it is, a DIY fidget bar made out of a resistance band and a carabiner. And so, like, when I'm working here at my desk, I just have my foot here hanging loose. Just check how much commercial fidget bar would be. Fidget bar. 130 euros. And we just made it out of a workout band. This is what you would call environment design. Instead of relying on your willpower, you change the environment to change your behavior. And once the environment or system is set up, it requires much less conscious effort to stick to the habits you're trying to stick to. At least if you design the environment in a smart way. And this way, a little bit of effort now can save a lot of effort later. This is my new favorite position. Now, I gotta say, many of these positions do give me niggles here and there. Probably tells something about how immobile and stiff I am, but yeah, I probably need to progress into sitting on the floor, like quite slowly. Even though I usually spend at least an hour exercising every day, the remaining 23 hours still had lots of room for improvement. Now, if there's one thing health gurus and movement experts seem to agree on, it's that walking is good and we should walk more. So, I looked for ways to add short walks to my day. I started doing morning walks around the village, I squeezed in a post-lunch walk, and I also started taking most of my calls and meets outside while walking. I think just getting outdoors is a very good idea in the morning, getting some fresh air and movement. I get my morning light exposure at the same time with these walks. Holy shit, you are overexposed.
I think walking is such a good way to reset your body after you've been just living life, right? Doing work or taking care of the kids or whatever it is. Like, you go for a walk, you kind of release some energy. It's one of these experiences that is active, but it's also like really grounding as well. And you know, a lot of the time people come up with their best ideas when you're walking around, right? So
I've also tried to find ways to gamify walking. And many people mentioned this game called Walkscape. So I'm gonna create a character name Potato Blueberry. I've revealed my secret username for most sites. I'll just put my phone in my pocket and go for a walk, I guess. I'm gonna go play a walking game. My task is to forage things. The core of the game is that you select an activity for your character and complete actions by walking in real life. Okay, we wanna go foraging. Steps required 75. Okay. Foraging level up. Unlocks. No new unlocks for this level. Okay. But so I walked and I leveled up. That's me. That's me right there. Right there. See? There's a big map. Look at that. I'm not quite sure yet how it works, but I'll figure it out. Yeah. Until then, steps. We're going that way. It's kind of hard to explain why you would want to walk for a kilometer to craft an iron sword in the game, but trust me, it's freaking addicting. In the beginning, I didn't really kind of like get the point of the game, but after about 2 weeks of playing this game, I'm getting pretty addicted. And already, on a few occasions, I've gone for a walk just to play the game. Or at least it has been one of the main motives for going for a walk. But quite often, I think I get like 500 to 1,000 extra steps just because of the game. And I mean, it's quite significant, considering that it's both adding steps to my life and it's freaking fun. And you might be thinking that playing the game will distract you during your walks. But the way they develop the game is that you choose an action or activity before you go for your walk, and you don't really need to look at your phone before you get back home. It's brilliant. Now, the game is still in closed beta, so if you want to try it out, which I highly recommend, and this is not sponsored, you can join a waiting list to get access to the game. And I would really recommend it, because Walkscape is the first game that made me realize how incredibly effective it can be to gamify positive behavior changes. My cooking level is 12 now. Like I was, I don't know, somehow I woke up and I was pretty irritated at everything. Like putting my shoes on, I was already like getting angry or something. But now that I'm almost through with the walk, I feel much more calm. So it's like the great neutralizer in the morning. But there was one final toxic behavior that wasn't as obvious. In my training, I was doing the same workouts with the same exercises I had been doing for years, using the same limited ranges of motion.
So a lot of the time, this is why we become stiff, is because we don't use our joints full capacity. And it's just this saying of like, if you don't use it, you lose it, right?
So I started adding in some sessions where I focused more on movement and skills rather than strength or endurance. My idea was to practice basic human movement that I lacked in my everyday life. It includes movement, which is, well, basically crawling. Then it has hanging, mostly from rings. And then it has carrying, so I carry things. And yeah, those are the main three things that I do in like a movement session. So
Crawling, hanging, and carrying. Yeah, those are like such like primal things to do, things that just our body naturally likes. Like I love that session.
And for the first time ever, I was also starting to seriously focus on improving my weak points. For instance, I've always felt I've had bad overhead mobility, and hence I've limited the amount of overhead exercises in my program. So instead of trying to fix the problem, it's been easier to just steer away from overhead lifts and exercises altogether.
Like we specifically have our daily practice routine. This is about a 10-minute movement stretching routine that we really like because we're just like using all of the joints of the body's full range of motion, right? If we can just take something that only takes 10 minutes, I mean, you could even pick the ones that you like the most and do this 5 minutes a day, and you just do this simple routine, say every morning when you wake up or whenever's convenient for you, maybe at lunchtime, whatever. You're going to be taking care of your body, and over time these benefits are going to accumulate the more that you can just commit to doing it and the more that you can commit to making it a routine, right? This isn't something that's gonna like work if you just do it like once a week, right? You really gotta kind of build this into an every other day thing or even an everyday thing if you can.
So lately I've been using this hack. Basically I'm just using 2 applications or extensions on my computer, and multiple times a day those applications launch a sequence that opens up a follow along mobility routine video. So in short, here's how it works. First I use Windows Task Scheduler to trigger the sequence. I think it's a default app on Windows, and it allows you to schedule specific tasks for your computer to execute. Using Task Scheduler, I schedule Chrome to open multiple times a day at various times, and then 2 seconds after Chrome opens, a Chrome extension called Auto Opener opens the Skill Yoga website with my favorite mobility program. Then I just simply click any of the sessions and get started.
Hey athletes, welcome to your daily mobility break.
So, as an example, let's say I'm writing something. My back is aching, neck is stiff, no time for any movement, right? And then suddenly, boom, Chrome opens, that's the first step. And then, boom, it goes to Skill Yoga. And then I just click play, put the computer somewhere nearby, and then it will guide me through a mobility session. Okay, John, bitch, doing it. Mobility. You get the point, right? And this sequence launches every day, I think at noon, at 3 p.m. and at 6 p.m. So best case scenario, I do these mobility things 3 times a day. And each follow along video is like 10 minutes. So like a very short thing, but it makes me feel much more fresh and energetic. Oh yeah, if you wanna try it out, you can get a free trial using the link in the description. Doesn't hurt to try, at least, if you haven't tried it yet. So after sticking to those habits and practices for about 100 days, some habits maybe a little less than that, some habits maybe even more than that, my body did not transform into a well-oiled machine, but I wasn't really expecting that. I mean, I have about 28 years of sitting in my records, so it will take quite a long time before these small habits lead to a significant change in my body. But when I compared my mobility tests from before and after the experiment, I was quite surprised. Like, quite frankly, I thought there would be no change. But there was. For one, I have become paler. Second, my overhead mobility seems to have improved slightly, and there is a notable difference in the amount of external and internal rotation in my shoulders. Also, my hip mobility is still not good, but staying in the 90-90 pose seems a little bit easier, or at least I seem to be struggling less. And there seems to be a less noticeable butt wink in my deep squat, which is good. You generally don't want to butt wink at the bottom of your squat. And what's even better, the effects on my mood and energy were much more immediate. I mean, you'll feel the difference right away from day one. There's a big difference between a day without movement and a day that includes a few short movement breaks and 2 to 3 walks. And finally, it's a nice thought that when this system is in place, I will hopefully keep making those small incremental improvements day by day. The goal is that my everyday life would make my body stronger and agile instead of weak and fragile. Also, my username in Walkscape is Potato Blueberry if you want to add me as a friend. Okay, bye.